Good morning. For this morning's reading, I have chosen a piece from the book by Ramtha, Love Yourself into Life, the Magic Book. And this section is called Become Like a Child Again. Once in a moment called time, there was a grand God who travelled about the land and speaking to all who sought his wisdom. One day they gathered an audience to listen to the grand God speak of love, of life, of truth. In the audience that day was a little child holding the hand of his mother, and the grand God smiled as he looked upon the child. "Will you do me the honor of sitting with me?" And the little child came forth in quick steps of excitement to sit upon the robed expanse of his lap. The grand God eyed the child. "You are beautiful. Are you what is called a little child?" The child nodded his head, drew up his shoulders, and giggled, "Yes." The grand God paused a moment, and then queried unto the child, "Little means you are not grown up, eh?" The child nodded his head and frowned, "Yes." And then the grand God spoke unto the child, "I will tell you, little child. Once there was greatness that created thunder and lightning in the sky, and a wind that blew a warm rain over a land that was as small as you. The gentle wind that blew the gentle rain over the land nourished all the little things therein. And that which created the thunder, the lightning, the great wind, the warm rain, was a God littler than you. When the warm rain went over the land and nourished everything there, all the elements rejoiced, for everything had exercised itself in being good. The God that created all of these things was littler than you, and all of his children were as small as you. They were all called gods also. The wondrous thing of what they had created is that they loved it all. They did not know that which is termed evil or wrong or ugly or fear. When they came upon this plain, just as you, a little God, someone told them that they were not perfect. They began to get scared and frightened and wondered of all the things they had ever experienced before. And that made them grow very tall. It made them grow tall to protect themselves, and they became giants. When they became giants, one tried to be taller than the other, larger than the other, and then they began to war with one another. The little gods ran and hid in fear, for they could not understand all of these things. Soon life became such a turbulence upon the little place they had created that they decided to leave it and go back to their first home. The little gods watched with great curiosity as their brothers that had grown large became very hateful, spiteful, and angry. They looked out of the window, so to speak, and watched them and could not understand. And they began to weep. Soon the father of these little gods came and said unto them, "Why weep you?" And they said, "We know not why they feel the way they feel, and we cannot feel the way they feel, and they will not love us because we are small." The great God, the Father, looked upon them and pondered for a moment and said, "Do you love your brothers because they are large and because they are still expressing those things that you know not?" And the little God said, "Indeed, we still love them. What else is there?" The great God said, "Indeed, what else is there?" So he placed the little gods and called them the overlords of the universe and put them in a great force around Terra, which is called your earth, which was the little place of the gods. The great voice said unto them, as they would keep balance and would be constant reminder to their brothers, who had grown so far and become so limited, what purity really was. Beloved child, there are cities of gods that protect the entire universe, and they are smaller than you. They can hold the sun in their hands and the stars upon the tips of their fingers, and their laughter brings harmony throughout the world. I find you most beautiful because you are like a little God who is more powerful than the bigger gods. Look at your little hand. I've made it very powerful. When you feel bad, put your hand upon your being and it will be well. When someone else feels bad, put your hand upon them and they will be well. And when you forget that you are wonderful and beautiful and perfect, look unto your hand. It will remind you of the story of the gods that protect all the others and how small and wonderful they are and how powerful they are. And when you forget to love, look unto your hands. It will remind you of it. And the grand god raised his eyes to gaze upon all those who had gathered. Look at all of them. For them to become what they are here to become, they must learn to think as you think. Never be in a hurry to grow up. Be the age that you are for as long as you want to be. Continue to be the magnificent God that you are, just as you are. For all of these that have grown up and are weary in their life are to become just like you again. Be happy with who you are and be a little child for a long, long time. You were born a knowing God, like all of them have been, and they are brought up to have it reasoned out of them. I will teach them how to be like a child again. So be it. The process of becoming is a whole shift of the balance of knowingness within your embodiment and spirit, a merging or coming together, a realization. Everyone suffers a duality. They are suffering the illusions they have built up around them. From a little child onward, you have built layers of yourself for protection. You have built layers of yourself to perceive the world how the world wishes to be perceived, so that you could be accepted. The pure, individualized self underneath is lost from childhood on, because there is a continuous upbuilding, and it is always built from within outward. Becoming is a reversal of that process. It is removing all of these outward things, stigmas of the soul, until they are removed down to the infinite part, the child again. For in the essence, that is what the child is, the purity of spirit. Once this is done, there are several things that happen. The body begins to become younger again. The thought process is unlimited and more joyful, and things can be seen in a clear perspective and in more depth than they have ever seen before. Becoming is not a maturity of that which is termed the intellect, quite the reverse. It is the innocence of that intellect that allows it to become an unlimited thinking process, reverting back to the original God self, or the child, or the purity within self. That is when the miracles start occurring. Little by little, the layers come off, and the innocence that lies within is divine God, divine master, pure spirit, pure genius, uninhibited abilities. That is what you become. God is the simplicity of the line. The simplicity of the Father is so blatantly open, and the truth so obvious that even in the simpleton can see it. Children are blessed with abundance of unlimited thinking and the talent to perceive truth. That is because they are simple and see blatantly what is before them evenly. To live, to be the everlasting thought, to see no end to it, to perceive and know brilliance is only a moment away. All you have to do is want it. Wanting does not mean that you sit upon that which is termed your rear end and contemplate want. It means becoming. And that which is termed the ideal is actively imparted in daily thought. 'Tis living it. It is that simple. If God were not to be the least complex, the simplest of his creative forms would never understand him. My God, add his blessing to that beautiful reading. And for me, and I know for many, this lockdown period has been an opportunity to take some layers off and to reconnect to that pure innocence within. And I'm so blessed for myself to feel that life, that joy, that unlimitedness. Do not be afraid to take the layers off. There is something so great. You are uncovering your greatness. Bless you.